now. Iran's been reaching out to world powers to settle the impasse over its nuclear program ahead of the nation's upcoming address to the UN General Assembly. The standoff has dragged on for years, and now the country's new leader, Hassan Rouhani, pledged to restart peace talks in return for an easing of painful sanctions. And as RT's Paul Leslie reports, the restrictions are hurting the most vulnerable there.
The aim of sanctions is to harm the state, but the real victims are ordinary, regular people. What's more, experience has shown that there's a huge wedge between what ordinary people experience under sanctions and what the elite do. Mohammad Rihadi is one such case study. He's a cancer victim in Iran.
It is my second chemotherapy program. Previously, each session cost approximately $300. These days, it costs about $700. It is also a challenge to get the medication because you have to go to almost every drugstore asking for them, and also because the prices are way too high. I get a chemo session once every 2 weeks, and I'm a pensioner.
Doctors are also frustrated. Not only is the problem the cost of medication and getting that medication, but also getting medical supplies. Its upkeep can also be a nightmare.
We have a problem getting high-tech modern equipment to treat our cancer patients. There are numerous obstacles for importing the equipment due to the sanctions in place against Iran. We have some equipment, but it requires spare parts that we can't get anywhere. A failure of any single piece or part of this equipment causes us to stop operating the entire machine.
History has shown that sanctions are a failure, but in those few rare instances where they do bring about some kind of diplomatic agreement, that takes a long time, merely prolonging the suffering of ordinary citizens.
President Rouhani and Barack Obama are expected to meet at the UN General Assembly, the first face-to-face between an American and Iranian leader in over 3 decades. Washington has previously rejected any serious rollback in sanctions, but financial expert Patrick Young believes the US measures against Tehran are doomed to fail anyway.
Ultimately, in an interconnected world where we have so much globalization, it's almost impossible for any country, even the hyperpower, the United States of America, to be able to successfully stop trade and transactions happening with different countries. Therefore, the end result ultimately has only been to impoverish ordinary citizens rather than really hitting the elite. The world is not a simplistic place. There is not a huge craving for democracy in the Middle East, and that's fundamentally a problem of the sanctions regime of America. What there has been, what has been demonstrated by the Arab Spring, is actually people wanting commerce to improve their lifestyles. In that sense, people want to replicate the trade success of the United States of America, and they feel very, very upset when sanctions basically come in and hurt their lifestyles. Intervening supranationally is rather difficult to justify in any possible circumstance, and certainly without the power of the UN Security Council.
Critics say the sanctions on Iran have not been effective in achieving any political aims, no matter their scope or duration. The restrictions are often justified as being a better option than war, but they are accused of only making things worse for average people in the countries affected. North Korea has been hit by a range of economic and military restrictions by the international community over its nuclear ambitions. The main effect is that the shortage of food and medical supplies has led to severe malnutrition. All this while Pyongyang shows no sign of curbing its atomic program. Syria has also been slapped with sanctions, which have only aggravated the situation there. The economy has been plagued by over 2 years of civil war, with the UN saying about 1/5 of the country's population is unable to produce or buy any food. And as the conflict goes on, the situation is expected to get much worse there. Cuba is no stranger to US embargoes as well, with the elderly and men there appearing to be the worst affected. And the loss to its economy is estimated to be almost $690 million annually. So in all those cases, it looks as tough sanctions are simply hitting ordinary people with little effect on the sanctioned states themselves.